Today I want to talk to you about custom seats in a Wrangler JL. This is a 2020 Jeep Wrangler JL. This would be applicable to JL model, JT model. They're similar in that regard as far as the seats bolting in and everything. So anything 2018 and newer JL or Gladiator JT model, this video would apply to you. It's not as simple as just plug and play, buy seat brackets, buy seats, put them in. There's a lot of electronic stuff that goes into the JLs. They're very electrical. As far as the computer is concerned, there's a lot of wiring harnesses that are integrated into the stock seats, even more so if you have the heated seats. So what I had to do was kind of, there's not a lot of people that have done this to this point. I had to, reach out to people and say, hey, what did you do? How did you do this? And kind of figure some of it out on my own. So that's one of the cool things about the Jeep community is there's a lot of people that are willing to help. I had a lot of people reach out to me and say, hey, try this or try that, and kind of group effort was able to figure out the best method, I think, for mounting the seats and for having the Jeep dash and indicators not go crazy on you. So this was my ideal way of setting it up, and I'm glad I was able to set it up this way, was to have as many things plugged back into where they were plugged in before versus just trying to trick the system with resistors or things like that. So I don't have anything like that. Everything is plugged back in with the exception of one plug, which is the side impact airbag plug. That would be part of the stock seat, so there's no way of doing that. So that's one light I have on my dash, is that side impact airbag light. I hate dash lights, but I'm willing to live with it for the custom PRP seats. Any custom seat would work. I know there's other brands that make seats. I like PRP. I love the customization you can do. It's literally free. You can buy whatever color combo you can dream up. They can probably make it happen for you. So we'll go through the rundown of the seats themselves, but first I want to walk you through the stock seat, the wiring, how I pulled that out. We'll get inside the Jeep. I'll show you underneath as best I can. It's a little hard with just a one-man filmer to show you, but I can kind of show you how I have all the plugs just zip tied together under the seat. Like I said, every single plug that came from the stock seat is plugged in with the exception of one. So I have no dings or auto park was the big one. That's the thing that the JLs and JTs have. So if the door is open and you're trying to back up or drive forward, it'll throw you into park. So when those of us that have half doors, when I first set this up, I had the half doors on. It kept throwing me into auto park because I didn't have the seat bladder in there. So I had to figure out how to get the bladder out of the stock seat into the new seat, so that when you sit on the seat, it knows there's weight on the seat, and then it then will allow you to not have that auto park feature going on. So also seatbelt dummy plug buckle. So I have the stock female seatbelt off of the stock seat underneath the seat with the dummy male plug inserted into it. Sorry, that was inappropriate, but anyhow, that plug is plugged in, and that makes it so that it thinks the seatbelt is clicked on. Since I no longer have the stock seatbelts, I'm running harnesses only all the time. So let's do a walkthrough of the of the stock seat. We'll get inside the Jeep. I'll show you underneath. I'll show you the new seats, kind of how I, the fabrics I used, a rundown of the seat itself and some of the features that the seat has. Also, I'll show you the Moto-Built brackets and how those hook up and go through from there. So let's start with the stock seat. Now let's get me into behind the camera mode. Boom. Quick look at the garage. All right, stock seats. So here's our OEM seat. These came out of a Wrangler. My Jeep started as a Wrangler Sport Unlimited edition. I did that because I was going to do a full build, so I didn't want to take a bunch of Rubicon stuff off and not even use it. So axles and all that good stuff. So a lot of you followed along with the build. You probably already know that. But anyhow, so if you have a Rubicon, you probably have an option for a heated seat, which would give you some more wiring. I'm not familiar with that part of it, so you'd have to figure that part of it out on your own, but probably not too complicated. So essentially, the white bracket here held in the seat bladder. I think that's probably one of the most important things to get out of the seat and into the new seat if you can. So this would have been here. The bladder is like a thin piece of it's two pieces of like a plastic, and then there's like the bladder underneath it. It's got like a gel in it. So when you sit on the seat, it like squirts the gel or the air through this, this little rubber hose, this clear rubber hose, and it sends it to the sensor saying, hey, somebody's in the seat. So it does, the Jeep's computer does whatever it needs to do when someone's in the seat. Airbag, seatbelt, all that good stuff. So when I first put the seats in without the bladder, like I said, it was throwing me into auto park. So I had to figure that out. And was able to make that work, and I'll show you how I did that when we get inside the Jeep. Basically, you have a lot of wiring that runs through here. You can see this yellow one. This is the side impact airbag. I left this in here because it's attached to the airbag in the seat. Didn't want to mess with that, but I just basically unplugged it. There was a number of other plugs that were fastened onto the seat, and just kind of pulled them out and you know, backtracked to where they went and was able to get them all out very cleanly, relatively easy. Also took the female end of the seatbelt off, as I mentioned, because that has a plug connected to it. So that's what tells it when it's buckled and all that good stuff. So really just gutted the seat. There's, I think, 4 or 5 plugs that come out of here that go into the Jeep. Let's go to the Jeep and take a look at what we have inside the Jeep. We already got our handy trusty light in here. Let me see if I can do this with 2 hands. So you can see all the plugs are just, you know, affixed to the seat bracket. So everything is plugged in. All these plugs are, with the exception of this yellow one right here, you can see, that would be the side impact airbag. So everything else I have was able to plug back into where it went. So there's a wiring harness that comes out from the floorboard that has a bunch of plugs hooked up to it. So I was able to hook everything back up and allow the seat to basically not trick the computer in the sense that I have like resistors on it, but everything is hooked back up. So I'm not having all the indicators and things like that. That was kind of my number one priority. This right here, you can see this is the bladder. So you can see this rubber, I don't know if you can see that hose right there. When you sit down on the seat, maybe you can see that or not, it will apply pressure and basically tell the sensor here, there's a plug you can't see, but one of these is the sensor, this one right here, that someone is sitting in the seat. So PRP has these elastic bands that run, you know, that hold the cover on. So I just fished the bladder underneath the seat there, so it sits in there nice and tight. Every time I sit down or a passenger sits down, it knows someone's in the seat, and it works that way. You can see here is the female buckle that I mentioned, and the male end right here, I bought just a dummy buckle off of Amazon, and I just plug that in and click it in, and then it constantly won't give me that. It will not give me that seatbelt unbuckled indicator because of that. So was very happy that I could get everything hooked up the way that I did. And everything is attached to the Moto-Built bracket. You can see the bracket here. We've got right here, can you see that? Yeah, so that's a slide. So it's on a slide like my regular seat. I can move it forward and backwards. I can adjust the height of the seat. So you can see here there's different levels of what height, so the back end of the seat is higher or lower. I have mine in the middle, and it seems to work out pretty good. The tallest one was too tall. My head was hitting not the roof of the hardtop, but the roof of my my sunshade, my best top sunshade. So I went in the middle there, and I have a good field of view that way. And then the brackets come raw. I painted mine with Steel It Black. We'll get to this in a minute. I know you're probably wondering what that is. But pretty cool setup here for Moto-Built as far as the brackets are concerned. That's the only bracket I know of for the JL for custom seats, and I think they're specifically designed for PRP. But you know, you could make anything that, block that light, anything that would have, you know, this is the PRP part of the seat that's bolted in. So anything that has that similar width, I think you could make work. Yeah. So okay, let's get to the seats themselves, and then you can see I still have part of the stock belt, but I eliminated the upper portion here. It's all tucked down in there nicely. So if you wanted to run the stock seat belt, I think you probably could. I don't think it's, you would just take that female buckle and figure out a way to fasten it to the seat over there. It's definitely something you can do. I've committed fully to the harnesses. This is my daily driver. This is my car. I drive it to work. I drive it to, you know, soccer practice for the kids, grocery store, you name it, the trails. I don't mind the harnesses. I actually got used to them. I like them. My wife, you know, and the kids, it seems like a lot of work, but, you know, I live the Jeep life, so I'm willing to commit to things like that. It's probably not for everybody. You know, that being said, not everybody is going to want to run a harness all the time. You really have to have them secured properly, and when they're secured properly, you really aren't moving in the seat. That lap belt is uncomfortably tight almost, and these are cinched down really tight to the point to where, you know, if you don't have long arms like I do, you maybe aren't being able to reach your dash very easily. So it's definitely not for everybody, but like I said, if you wanted to, you could probably run that OEM seatbelt back across there and live between both of them. Just move these out of the way when you're driving. I went with the 4.3 harnesses. I will add the 5th point. I think that's definitely a necessity as far as safety is concerned. They just wasn't available when I ordered these, so that's something I've got on my list I'll be adding down the line. But went with the orange harnesses. So to match the seats. That being said, I'm going to kind of give you a breakdown of the fabrics I used on this seat. The Jeep was just kind of like monotone for a while. I wanted to have some sort of accent color, if you will, or some sort of pop on the Jeep to give it that little bit of a wow factor. Orange has kind of been on the top of my list for the entire time. My wife's got orange on her Jeep, so it kind of ties the two of our Jeeps together. So when I did the seats, that was kind of the first real big hit of orange I did. I ordered in with the Daytona vinyl, the Daytona orange. This is all custom. You can go to PRP's website, pick out whatever seat you want. This is the Enduro Elite. Pick out whatever seat you want, and you can add the fabrics, the stitching, whatever you want to do. You can, pretty much sky's the limit on customization on these things. They have a ton of fabrics, ton of colors. I think if you call in, you can even get more options. But what I ended up doing was the light gray suede. Looks amazing. I love it. I'm a little bit nervous about dirt and stuff like that, but I'm pretty good about keeping the Jeep clean. But I really wanted a high-end looking seat. And then I did the ostrich on the side panel right here. So light gray suede, ostrich, Daytona orange. I went with orange stitching on here. I eliminated the Enduro logo. Just thought it was too much going on, but you can add that as well. And then I did Daytona black for the sides and for the back there. So very cool. And then the seats they all come with the recliner option, which is nice for getting the seat set originally. Once you get the harnesses going, you kind of have them set in place. So like that slider I have and the recline feature really don't get used very often because, like I said, once those harnesses are set to where they need to be, you're not really wanting to move that seat around much. But it is nice to have that to give you that flexibility. I was able to lean my seat back a little bit more to get my head basically a little bit lower, so I wasn't into the ceiling as much. And then the only option I add, you can do heated seats, you can do bags, you can do all kinds of stuff, but I did add the air lumbar. So this is going to be at your lower back right here, and you can set that with an airbag to whatever you feel you would want. So it's really cool, especially for the longer drives. I'll usually throw some air back there. These things, the cool thing about these seats is, at first it seems like, wow, I'm really strapped in, but you almost feel like you're like a race car driver because you're really strapped in. The fabric, especially with the suede and the hump here, keeps you from sliding back and forth. You don't realize how much you actually do that in a regular seat until you have a seat like this. And everything hugs you. So you're pretty secure in there. And for me, I'm always slouched over and leaning over and kind of got that lean going on driving. I'm back, shoulders are back, heads up. I'm 10 and 2 on the wheel because you really kind of get into that mode with these seats, which is nice. So once I got used to it actually is more comfortable to sit like that for longer drives than to have that lean. I'm leaning on the center console, I'm leaning on the dash or on the armrest. I'm kind of leaning all over the place. Not anymore. I've driven this thing to LA and back with the seats out to the Rubicon and back, and super comfy. Absolutely loved them. Love them for wheeling. The security that you have, kind of what I'll do is if I'm getting up on something where I need to get my head out the window, I'll loosen the shoulder straps a little bit, poke my head out, and then just really quickly cinch them back down to what I need. So as far as the harnesses go, you need a bar to attach them to. You want that pretty level. There's a degree to which you want the harnesses to be. You don't want them down to the floor. You don't want them sky high. So mine is just almost level with the seat, as you can see coming out just a little bit. That's pretty dead level of coming out of the back of the seat there. And I use the rock hard 4x4 harness bar for the harnesses. Eventually I'm going to do a full cage in here, waiting on some options for that to happen. But I would love to do a full cage, so that harness bar would probably be sucked back a little bit closer to the seat. Probably my biggest gripe with this bar, other than just the pain in the ass it was to install it, is just the length of which it is far back. I'm not real thrilled with it with the passengers in the back, so my son's got his own 5-point harness set up to keep him locked in back there. But quality of the bar is great. I think it looks pretty good. I just installation, you'd think 8 bolts here, boom, 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 four on each side, get it lined up and whatever, you'll be done in an hour. This is an extremely pain in the ass. All of this JL is a pain in the butt to drill through. So this is super hard. hardened metal. I chipped the bit that came with the bar on hole number 2. So I ended up, what I thought was going to take me an hour ended up taking me multiple days, just because I needed to track down bits and parts. And what I ended up using was the like a Dremel, and then I had diamond tips. And so I got the holes started with the bit, kind of like the shape that I needed, and then I used the diamond tip bit to just kind of like grind out almost all the way through, and then back to the drill bit to punch it through that, because the drill itself takes forever to get through there. I mean, it is a lot more involved than you would think just to put a harness bar on there. So not like difficult, just very, very, very time consuming. So keep that in mind. If you're going to do that, like I said, you could probably run these seats with the stock seat belt. I wasn't really interested in doing that, so I didn't figure that out, but I'm sure you can find a way to affix the stock seat belt, female end on the other side of the bracket over there somewhere. But you can see underneath the seat, very cool. The moto belt bracket's very, very sturdy, and super happy with the seats. I am going to color match the back seat. Since I have kids, I probably won't do 2 PRPs in the back for a couple of years. I'll probably wait till they get a little bit older, but eventually I'll have these same seats, stacked behind it for the most part. But in the meantime, PRP also makes JL seat covers, so I'll do a custom seat cover to match these seats in the back, so it looks a little bit more uniform. But I wanted to see how it looked before I did that. So really happy with how it came out. Definitely a process to get it figured out. Hopefully this video will help save you some time. Shoot me a message if you have questions, either here on YouTube or on Instagram. I think my Instagram page is linked to this YouTube video, and I'm sure a lot of you follow me there as well. But like I said, it can be done. Very cool to have custom seats in a JL. Not a whole lot of JLs have them. I've seen a couple guys have been doing it more recently. I know there's another video out from a guy in Florida, Jake. He's got a really rad JL as well. He just did his. So the information's out there now for everybody if they want to get the seats in here. But highly recommend if you wanted to add that custom seat, custom look, custom feel, and off-road function to your JL or Gladiator. Thanks for tuning in.